Hello guys, we're back, and this time we've brought a brand new video, Absolute Flash, issue number 8. We cover this issue in 2 parts. Haha, I know, we skipped the first 7 issues and jumped straight to the 8th one. For that, I sincerely apologize. But trust me, this one's worth it. Also, if you haven't already checked out DCKO, go give it a watch. It's already uploaded on the channel, and it connects perfectly with the crazy stuff happening in this series. But before we start, I have one small request. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Your support seriously motivates me to make more videos like this. Alright, let's get into it. So Absolute Flash number 8 picks up years ago, back at Keystone University. And honestly, that's already a little ironic. Because fans of The Flash know exactly what that name means. Jay Garrick, the Golden Age Flash, hails from Keystone City. Barry Allen, our Silver Age Flash, is from Central City. But here, Keystone University gets the spotlight. And that's a clever nod, because Keystone City is also the home of Wally West, the third Flash. So right from the start, we're seeing the Flash mythos overlap in this really cool, interconnected way. Now the scene opens with Barry Allen walking into class, and he immediately says, "I'm sorry I'm late." And of course, it's Barry Allen, the man who literally runs faster than time itself. And even without powers, the dude still can't show up on time. Classic. Then he adds, "I had a faculty meeting that ran over, and despite popular theories of quantum superposition, I still can't be in 2 places at once." So yeah, Barry's cracking physics jokes that no one else finds funny. Typical Barry. He looks around the room and goes, "Alright, where were we last week?" One of the students says, "Breakthroughs in superconductivity." Barry nods and says, "Right. Recent research shows that the sudden cessation, or death, of quantum mechanical fluctuations exhibits a series of unique behaviors that exist outside the bounds of established theories." So, who wants to talk about these breakthroughs? What insights did the assigned readings yield? Anybody? And what's cool here is that we get to see Professor Barry Allen, not the crime lab scientist or the hero, but the brilliant physicist who could hold his own at any top university. Now, sitting quietly in that classroom is a woman named Nora Thawne. She's watching Barry closely. When class ends, she walks into his office. Barry looks up and says, "Should I know you? Were you auditing my class this morning?" She smiles and says, "I was. I hope you don't mind the intrusion. I'm a big fan of your work." Barry kind of chuckles. "Let me guess. Ray Palmer sent you?" Right there. Boom. We get a fun little nod to the atom. And that's something I really love about the Absolute Universe. Even when the story focuses on one hero, they keep dropping these subtle references. Like Easter eggs hinting that this universe is bigger and deeper than we think. Anyway, Eleanor introduces herself. "My name is Dr. Eleanor Thawne. I was closely following your research at Princeton. Your work with quantum simulation and molecular electron transfer." Barry leans back, kinda nostalgic. "That was a lifetime ago," he says. Eleanor smiles. "It was a crime they shut you down. You were on the cusp of something special." Barry shakes his head. "Yeah, well, the powers that be didn't really agree with what I was doing. I lost tenure. I haven't been anywhere near a lab in 5 years, Dr. Thawne." And Eleanor gently corrects him. "That's Dr. Thawne." It's subtle, but you can already tell she's confident. Maybe even flirtatious. There's definitely chemistry in the room. She leans forward and says, "Dr. Allen, what would you say if I told you I could get funding? Not only to continue your research, but to set you up to make new discoveries far beyond anything you've ever imagined." Barry laughs it off. "My work was a dead end, Eleanor. Princeton was right to shut me down. Even if I had the resources, I wouldn't continue." Eleanor doesn't buy it. "That is utter nonsense," she says. "We both know that's a lie. It's just what you tell yourself to justify wasting your time and your talent at this second-rate school. True discovery is the most intoxicating drug there is, and I know a recovering addict when I see one." And man, that line hits hard. You can see Barry pause for a second. He looks at her and says, "You got a flair for the dramatic, Dr. Thawne, but I still don't know what exactly you're offering." She stands up, confident as ever. "Come with me, Dr. Allen. Give me 1 day of your life, and I promise to show you things you've only ever dreamed possible." Cut 2, Fort Fox, Colorado. Eleanor and Barry step out of a car. She says, "How was your flight? Was the trip okay?" Barry replies, "I'm just adjusting to the altitude a little." Now, if you've ever been to Colorado, you know that's real. The altitude hits hard. Headaches, lightheadedness, you gotta stay hydrated. Eleanor laughs and says, "It takes a few days, but Colorado's lovely. Come this way." They walk into this massive research facility, and this is where the story really starts to take shape. Eleanor gestures toward a huge lab and says, "Dr. Allen, this is my life's work, and my grandfather's." Barry frowns. "Your grandfather?" She nods. "Yes, tell me, have you ever heard of Dr. Eobard Thawne?" And Barry just shakes his head. "No, can't say I have." Eleanor smiles. "That doesn't surprise me. He's been quite literally erased from history. But these are my grandfather's journals. All of his work. This, Barry, is Blue Trinity." Now, this is where things get crazy. Eleanor explains that during World War II, the US government launched a secret project called Blue Trinity, a counterpart to the Manhattan Project. While Oppenheimer worked on atomic power, Dr. Eobard Thawne was working on something far stranger, a way to contact another dimension made of pure living energy. We get a flashback, and for the first time, we actually see Eobard Thawne. What's immediately noticeable? He looks just like Barry Allen. And this is fascinating, because in the main DC continuity, Eobard Thawne becomes Reverse Flash, Barry's greatest enemy. In those stories, he literally changed his appearance to look like Barry out of obsession. Kind of hero worship that turned toxic. But in the Absolute universe, Eobard naturally looks like Barry. He didn't change his face, which suggests something much deeper. Maybe even a shared origin. Eleanor continues, "My grandfather's theories were far beyond anything of his time. He believed his work bridged the divide between fringe science and the supernatural. Some of his methods were questionable. When the military caught wind of his more eccentric experiments, he knew it was only a matter of time before they shut him down. So what did Eobard do? He went rogue. He began mixing science and mysticism, invoking forces beyond physics to reach this so-called dimensional living energy." Eleanor says, "My grandfather refused to stop his work. His journals describe a voice that called to him from this other world. The line between genius and madness is very fine, Dr. Allen. But what happened next justified everything." We jump back to the 1940s. A young Eobard Thawne is setting up an experiment deep in the desert. A soldier walks up, Captain Garrick. That's right, Jay Garrick, before he ever became the Flash. "Thawne," Jay shouts, "what are you doing out here? None of this has been authorized." Eobard waves him off. "Not now, Captain Garrick. This is delicate. I need to focus." Jay steps forward. "You're out of line, Doctor." Eobard turns to him, wild-eyed. "Don't you see, Jay? You're about to witness history. I've done it. I've finally done it." Jay's confused. "Witness to what?" Eobard smiles. "What we're here for? This is Blue Trinity." At that moment, a massive device powers up. Eobard is opening a rift to that dimension of living energy. But here's the twist. He's not tapping into the Speed Force like in the main DC timeline. He's tapping into Omega energy, the power of Darkseid himself. In the Absolute universe, Darkseid is God. He created this reality. And the voice calling to Eobard all this time, it wasn't some cosmic field. It was Darkseid. Eobard steps closer to the rift. "Don't you hear it, Jay? It's calling my name." A portal of red and black light opens. Jay, terrified, rushes to shut the machine down. "Stop this," he yells. Eobard grabs him and shouts, "I've come too far. I can't let anyone take this from me." He pushes Jay into the energy field. "I'm sorry, Jay, but it's mine." Then, boom! A massive explosion consumes the site. And just like that, Eobard Thawne vanishes from history. Eleanor finishes her story. "My grandfather was never seen again. Thank God most of his journals were salvaged before the military shut everything down. They were passed to my mother and then to me. I spent my life filling in the blanks." Barry shakes his head. "This is ridiculous." Eleanor smirks. "I know it sounds like science fiction, Barry, but I assure you, it's real." Barry looks closer at her equations and freezes. No, not what you're saying. These equations." Eleanor frowns. "I worked for months on those." Barry mutters, and they're all wrong. I'll need my equipment. Sent over from Princeton. That's when Eleanor smiles knowingly. She's got him. Barry's hooked again. And this right here is such a clever setup. It's not directly saying that this dimension of energy is the speed force, but that's the natural assumption, right? Barry Allen, energy field, lightning, speed, it all fits. But in the absolute universe, things might not be that simple. Transition, 2 years later. So fast forward 2 years. Barry Allen has been fully immersed in this new project with Eleanor. Together, they've rebuilt everything from Eobard Thawne's journals, the machines, the algorithms, the energy field experiments. But the relationship between Barry and Eleanor? It's complicated. There's respect, there's chemistry, maybe even some history, but there's also a lot of tension. One day, Eleanor walks in and introduces Barry to someone new. Dr. Allen. This is Colonel Rudy West, she says. He'll be leading our military division. Barry freezes. You can almost see the frustration hit him. Military division? He repeats. Eleanor, you promised me I'd have autonomy in all this. She tries to smooth it over. Barry, this is how we secure funding. Without the military, this project dies. They'll give us the resources to finish your work. Barry crosses his arms. You and I both know what the military cares about. Weapons. That's it. This was supposed to be about science, about discovery. You said this was for the betterment of mankind. He's not wrong. We've seen this story 100 times before. Science meets government money, and suddenly, everything turns into weaponization. But here's the wild twist. Unbeknownst to Barry, Eleanor isn't really being controlled by the military. If you've read Absolute Evil, you know Eleanor Thawne is one of the hidden powers behind the world. She's not being overridden by anyone. She's the one pulling the strings. So while Barry's worried about losing control of his research, the truth is, the only one who's really being cut out is him. Barry storms out furious, but Eleanor calls after him, Colonel West, would you give us a moment? When Rudy leaves, she says softly, Barry, this is how we keep our funding. Without the military, we're dead in the water. Barry shakes his head. No, Eleanor, what you're doing, it's not science anymore. It's politics. Eleanor's tone hardens. You're being naive. What we're doing here is beyond the government's comprehension. We give them a few new toys, and in return, they let us change history. That's a fair trade, don't you think? Then she changes the subject. Speaking of which, how close are we to the first trial? Barry sighs. Just fine-tuning the protective gear. I'll be ready to take the team in by the end of the week. Eleanor nods, and then says something that makes Barry's stomach drop. Actually, I've decided you won't be leading the initial team. Barry's stunned. What? You can't be serious. Eleanor puts on her best caring voice. It's too dangerous, Barry. You're far too important to risk. You'll lead the team remotely, from here. Barry pushes back. Our equipment is far more advanced than what your grandfather used. The protective suits will hold. We'll be fine. Eleanor smiles that icy, confident smile. And once we're sure of that, we'll go in together. The way she says it almost sounds intimate, like there's something deeper between them. There's this subtle tension, a mixture of romantic undercurrent and manipulation. She knows exactly how to play Barry. And that's when another key player enters the story, Wally West. Barry first meets him by accident. He sees this young guy sitting alone in the facility cafeteria, headphones on, lost in his own world. Barry walks over and says, "This seat taken?" Wally looks up, kind of unsure. Not really, I guess. Barry sits down. I'm Dr. Allen. You must be the new kid, Colonel West's son. Wally smirks. How'd you know? Barry chuckles. Just met your dad. He seems like a barrel of laughs. And Wally laughs. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Then Barry starts asking him about himself. So what's your story? You move around a lot? Yeah, Wally says. All the time. Dad's military, so new base every year. Hard to make friends. Barry nods. Same here. My dad was a Marine. We never lived in one place more than a year and a half until I went off to college. Wally looks surprised. Where'd you go? Barry smiles. MIT. Because of course I did. Wally laughs. Well, I hate math and science. Barry raises an eyebrow. Then what are you into? Music, mostly. And then Barry says something that's peak Barry Allen. Well, music is just math when you think about it. Everything is math, really. Once you realize that, the whole universe opens up to you. Wally just stares at him. You're kind of a weird guy, Dr. Allen. Barry grins. Takes one to know one. It's a small, quiet exchange, but it's important. For the first time, someone sees Wally, really sees him, and wants to know who he is. When Barry gets up to leave, he tells him, hang in there. Kid, things will get better, I promise. And even though Wally's got his headphones on, you can tell he heard him. Now, the project moves forward, and the first human trial is ready to begin. 3 test subjects, Hendricks, Kerwin, and Ellis, are suited up and preparing to enter the portal. Barry stands at the command console. One last comms check. Sound off. Hendricks, check. Kerwin, check. Ellis, check. Barry nods. All right, here we go. They open the gateway, and the 3 soldiers step into a blinding field of crimson light. Hendricks says over comms, "It's all over the place, Dr. Allen. The energy, the red matter." Barry leans forward. "It's incredible. Get soil samples, atmospheric readings, everything you can." Then one of them gasps. "Wait, are you seeing this?" Feed turns, and for a moment, everyone in the control room freezes. Because what they're looking at doesn't belong in any lab. It's a colossal structure, dark, spiked, almost skeletal, rising out of the red energy field. And Barry whispers, "I don't think we were the first ones here." Now comic fans will recognize this immediately. It looks just like the Legion of Doom headquarters. Yeah, that same swamp-based skull-face fortress from the old Super Friends era. Except here, it's sitting in another dimension. Whether it's exactly the same or just inspired by it, it's one of those holy crap moments that makes you realize this universe is so much bigger than we thought. They bring a piece of the red matter back to Fort Fox. Eleanor and Barry begin experimenting with it, analyzing the strange shift in energy. Eleanor says, "The trials on the apes are incredibly promising. We'll be moving ahead with human tests soon." Barry frowns. "That's none of my business, Eleanor, but none of this is why you brought me here. I want to go in myself. I want to harvest the red matter firsthand." Eleanor shakes her head. "Soon, Barry, soon." But Barry's no fool. He's starting to realize that soon might never come. Eleanor's been putting him off for months, always with excuses. He watches as military crates labeled Project Red Matter are loaded up for transport. The away team's almost finished moving all the alien tech, Eleanor says. Barry mutters under his breath, "This super soldier nonsense was supposed to be our cover story. You've lost sight of our work, of your grandfather's work." And that sets her off. "How dare you say that?" she snaps. "I've dedicated my life to finishing what my grandfather started, and we will. But you know as well as I do, the red matter is too dangerous for direct contact. The alien technology and specimens are a blessing we never expected. They buy us time to study the energy, to understand it, before we risk bringing any of it back here. We have to be careful, Barry, or we'll end up just like my grandfather, destroyed by the thing we coveted." Barry doesn't respond. He just walks away, frustration written all over his face. He knows she's lying. Not necessarily about the danger, but about her motives. Eleanor doesn't want him to lead. She wants control. Later that night, Barry wanders deeper into the facility. The lights are dim, the hum of the machines echoing off the metal walls. Then he hears it. A voice. "Barry." He freezes. "Who's there?" He looks around. No one. The voice echoes again. "Barry, help me." He walks toward the containment chamber where the red matter glows faintly behind reinforced glass. He steps closer and sees something in the light. A face. His face. It's another Barry Allen, trapped, screaming silently within the red storm. Barry's eyes widen. "Who are you?" The figure presses a hand against the energy field. "Stop. You must stop. Wally. It must be Wally West." And then the image vanishes. The red matter goes dark. So what the hell just happened? This could mean a few things. Maybe this trapped Barry is a version from another timeline. Maybe the Barry Allen we saw die in the beginning of Absolute Flash #1. Or maybe it's not Barry at all. Because remember, Eobard Thawne looked exactly like Barry, naturally, in this universe. It could be him, still alive, trapped inside the red matter dimension, reaching out for help. And the mention of Wally West? That's huge. It could mean that whatever's happening to Barry, or whoever this trapped version is, somehow connects directly to Wally becoming the Flash later on. The issue ends on that haunting note. No answers, just questions, and one overwhelming feeling that the entire absolute universe is on the edge of something massive. Quantum Judgment. And that's it for Absolute Flash issue number 8. Man, this story is dense. Science, mystery, history, and mythology all wrapped into one. And what I really love is how it's building out this entire absolute universe, tying together Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, Eobard Thawne, and Wally West into one giant web of fate. Also, that revelation about Eobard maybe tapping into Darkseid's Omega energy instead of the Speed Force, that's wild. It completely flips the traditional Flash origin on its head. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Do you believe the voice Barry heard is really himself, trapped somewhere between worlds? Or is it Eobard Thawne, still alive, manipulating everything from the other side? Drop your theories down in the comments below, because I'll be reading them all. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you all later.